Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Open Book Besties. I'm Misty Walker, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hey, Webster.
Yay! And as always, we have no plan, but we do want to talk about some authory stuff today.
Yeah, like we've been, I don't know. I've been reading lots of books, so I feel like I got a lot to talk about. We actually have a pretty decent sized, 46 people total of authors. So actually, I don't know what our listenership is, but
I'll have to ask our producer.
right.
I have no idea either.
47 now, and that is because Avery went and subscribed. So if you get weird comments on the YouTube page, that's
her. She subscribed to the YouTube.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I was like, I don't care. I said, what you might block you.
Just need followers. It's fine if it's you. We did get a few YouTube views, so I think.
Well, I had several of my author friends say that they went and listened to. They went and watched the YouTube video, and I think it's because we were like doing stuff that they wanted to see, and so they left the podcast to go watch it. But my sister, she's one of our diehard fans. And she just listens to us and loves it. And this pink lipstick is for her because she said that I needed to up my lipstick game because you come on there with your perfect pretty lips and then I'm just like plain Jane over here. So I put on this lip stain to match my shirt and now I feel like a Barbie doll.
No, it looks really pretty and it doesn't look like fake makeup. It just looks pretty.
Thanks. Well, as soon as I put it on and it's officially stained my lips, I was like, what have I done? Because I couldn't get it off. I was like, okay, now I have to just go with it.
Stain was a very bold choice for your first outing in the lipstick game, but it worked out.
Yeah, well, luckily, but I will have this color on my lips for like 3 days now.
That's okay because it's pretty. Thanks. And it does match your shirt perfectly. I got a new lipstick. I usually try and stay away from like anything in the orange family, and I didn't realize this one was kind of orangey, so I'm not sure how I feel about it, but
I like it. It looks good. It looks really good.
I like a good matte nude.
Yeah, and see, I'm like from the I don't know, from the olden days where like I want to be shiny, and so I got the matte whatever this thing is called, and then I was like, I need to shine this up, and I was like and it already I've kind of like wiped off some of that, so it's going back to matte. So
well, it looks so pretty.
Oh, thanks. And if you're just listening, you better go to our YouTube page so you can see.
Yeah see the Barbie doll.
Yeah well, what's funny is last night I basically because you were just like me, like if we don't have to put on makeup, we don't really want to. It's like and I feel like a lot of people are like this, like not just us. I don't think it's just us. I think it's like every mom or woman out there is like planning their life around, do I need to put on makeup? Do I not need to put on makeup? And so
hair washes.
And hair wash. And that's exactly, I messaged you last night and I was like, is tomorrow podcast day? Because if so, I gotta wash the grease out of my hair.
Yep. Exactly. And I always plan, like if I have to record videos for TikTok or whatever, I'm always like, okay, Monday I have to wear makeup for a doctor's appointment, so I'm gonna record videos then. But Tuesday I don't have to leave the house, so I'm not doing anything.
Right yeah. So it's hard being a girl. And of course my daughter, she's so sweet. I was put on makeup and she was like, wow. And I was like, does it look okay? And she's like, it's beautiful, but you were beautiful before. And I was like, oh,
that's so sweet.
She's always saying little sweet stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I know you're lying, but that is really sweet and I appreciate it.
That's the opposite of Mabel. Mabel's like, Mom, looking rough.
Really?
Gotta cover those bags.
Oh gosh.
She's very, very honest, which is good because I appreciate a very honest response from people. So I appreciate it, but sometimes I'm like, can you just like find a nicer way of saying that I look
Meanwhile,
homeless?
I get accused of fishing for compliments. Matt's always like, stop fishing for compliments. And I'm like, well, if you just give them, I wouldn't have to fish for them. You're making me have to work for them, and I don't want to work for them. So just give them freely, okay?
That's funny.
Last night, I thought I could have sworn we were about to have a divorce because I was sitting there minding my own business, okay, reading my little Kindle, just living my best life. And first of all, I'm reading this book and I am just cheesing because it's just so good. And I just cheese it because it's just all the parts in it are just making me smile, you know. And I see him out of my peripheral. I was like, what is he doing? But I'm just in my book, you know, I'm reading it. All of a sudden, my Kindle flies out of my hand. And I was like, oh, and he takes it and he's got his fingers on the screen. I'm like, you're gonna lose my page. You're gonna lose my page. He's walking away with my Kindle. And I'm like, at the good part, like, I mean, panes are flying and everything. And I'm like, get it back. And so he's like all the way across the room. He's like, no, you can't have this. You're paying too much attention to the book and not the show. And I was like, I don't care about the show. And I'm like, I think you could see like the claws coming out and like coming out because I was like, bring it back. Bring my, you know, I didn't even get out of my chair. Like, bring my Kindle back to me. And then he brings it back, and I was like, you lost my page. And he's like, if you really cared about that book, you would remember which page you were on. I was like, you better stay away from me, buddy. And so then I got my page back, and I read my book, but I was about to bitch slap him.
Yeah. You can't fuck with the reader in their book. I mean, that's just cruel, especially when you're in the good part.
Right. I know. I was at like, I'm not even joking. I was at like 86% on this book. So like, this is where they're all coming together before the
big
bad
finale
thing happens or whatever. Yeah. And so it was like the literal good part, like all the good steamy stuff was happening and all the I love yous and all this. And I'm just, you know, happy. And then he sort of rips it out of my hand. Like, I'm going to kill you.
What show were you watching?
I wasn't watching the
show. You don't even know. He likes to have your attention when you're watching TV at night.
He does. And I really do try to give that time to him. But when I'm on a deadline and I've been like working really, really hard and not reading that much, like I still have to get my reading time in. And so I try to like, you know, have some balance, but it wasn't working.
That's funny. You were sending me screenshots from that book and I had to go out and get it because that sounded really good.
Yeah. It's just, you know, it's just one of those low angst, just, you know, very hot, you know, kind of, and anything with the daddy kink in it, it just makes me giggle. Okay. Like I don't know what it is about it. My face will turn bright red when I'm reading it and I just giggle. It's just funny to me, but I like it. Like it's, you know, like it's like, I like it for the characters and, you know, and I would say like, oh, I don't like that for myself, but I mean, technically I call Matt daddy all the time. So maybe I do like it. And so it's like, you know, those books just really just get me, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I like a good daddy kink book.
Yeah, especially when they're like, oh, you have to call me daddy out in public. And I'm like, oh gosh, what's going to happen? The sales clerk is going to hear.
Get your heart pumping a little.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, you know, and he's like, and, you know, I'm going to lay your clothes out for you in the morning. Okay. And they're all like, okay, daddy. And I'm like, okay, daddy.
I'm officially gonna have to tell my dad not to listen to this episode.
Wrong daddy.
Usually like I'm not even thinking about who's going to be listening, but ever since he told me that he has been, like, it's just stuck in my head. And I'm like, wait a minute. My daddy might hear me say that I like a daddy kink. And that is just weird.
And our new subscriber, Avery.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
Wow, what have we done?
Yeah. Let's move on.
Oh.
So we both have been working on some not working on some craft books, but reading some craft books.
Right. Because even when you've written a bunch of books like we have, you're always learning. Like I think every author is just constantly trying to learn more, you know, whether it's about like the writing itself or marketing or just like whatever part of it, you know, and everybody is just constantly wanting to know more. And so this week was one of those weeks for both of us, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I suggested one book to you, and you're going to read that one next week, maybe.
Which one was that?
Why don't I show you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did get that one. It's right next to me on the ground.
If you're on the podcast, you're going to have to go and look at our YouTube video, because I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'll tell you what it is. It's called Figure Fiction by T. Taylor. And this book was awesome. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I read this in basically 2 evening sittings, and how to use universal fantasy to sell your books to anyone. And then it has a little picture of butter right here. And it's basically saying that universal fantasy is what everybody is looking for when they're reading a book. So like, for a just generic example, like damsel in distress, or you know, overprotective hero, or like there's just so many different ones. And hold on, I'll just give you an example, because I can't just think of them off the top of my head. You know, like abuse of power, the boss hole, you know, everybody loves those kind of stories. And that's like, you know, you love that because he's, you know, doing all the wrong things. Basically all the stuff that is like the just juicy things, not necessarily tropes or you know, what it's about or whatever. There's just certain little elements, I would say, there's elements in a story that really just get you. And so basically she breaks down lots of different, and look, I dog-eared the heck out of this book.
Oh yeah, you did.
And I made her my new best friend. Sorry, Misty, your old news. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Have to take care of her.
Right. Anyway, so she basically talks about these elements in the story and how to look for them and how to get them into your own story, and basically saying like almost like every chapter needs to have one of these universal fantasies in it. And because these are like the juicy bits that people crave. And if you know, you're not putting these in your story like frequently, then you know, people almost feel like something's missing, you know. And so she basically goes through, and it was just so eye-opening to me, because you know, I'm such a, how can I make this book super duper different and so out there from anything that's ever been done. And I do, okay, and my readers love it, but it's not necessarily capturing new readers all the time, because they have to take a chance on some of these unusual type stories, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas some of my books that actually are very rich with universal fantasy, like Stroke of Midnight would be an example. Like it has those heavy themes. It's almost like a Cinderella retelling. People love retellings. They love a like a makeover story where, you know, rags to riches, like all those kinds of things. And that story was like layered in all of these. And so it did really well, and it reached a mass group of people. And so it really got me thinking, you know, because as writers, we're like super stubborn, and we want to write a certain little way. But at the end of the day, I'm also a business person and I do want to make money too. So why not, when I write my stories, incorporate things that aren't going to like basically turn off half the world out there,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was just something to think about. And I'm just really excited for you to read it so we can discuss it and have a proper book discussion.
Yeah, I'll be reading it while I'm stuck in a car for 10 hours on Tuesday.
Well, and what was funny is I found the author and I was like, oh my gosh, I loved your book. It was so good. And she was like, oh my gosh, I just read your book too, my nonfiction book. And she was like, that's so funny that you messaged me. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, and then I was like, I'm forcing Misty to read it. She was like, that's so awesome. You're forcing your best friend to read it. And I was like, I know. We had a moment.
Yeah, except for now I don't like her now that you said that she's your best friend. So
but then you're gonna read it and then you're gonna want to be her best friends too. And then it's gonna be like a trio.
If I don't burn it first. Just kidding.
You're just a jealous best friend.
Just a little territorial, okay? That's funny. And then we've also been reading the Save the Cat books. You read the screenplay version.
Right. I'm actually about 75% done with the audiobook of Save the Cat by Blake Snyder, which is the screenplay, how to write movies type thing. And it's not because I'm going to try to write a screenplay, but like I'm converting his ideas and all of the things to write books.
Yeah.
But you're reading the novel version.
The novel version.
Which
I was just barely opening my thing because that's by Jessica Brody.
Right. Okay. Right. And that one you said is more geared towards books.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But
and not like a specific genre, just like books in general.
Oh, okay. Well, the thing that I've picked up so far on the Save the Cat thing is basically you start the story out making us like the hero, like, or whoever, whatever it is. And that's where the Save the Cat comes from. So like in the very beginning, they're doing something that automatically endears you to them. So not necessarily saving a cat from a tree, but like something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
even if they're like just a horrible person, morally gray, like all of that, you have to do something right away that endears the audience to him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So then throughout the book, they're rooting for him.
Right. Him. Right. Exactly. And so, and it teaches you like all these different, like, little pieces that need to go into your story. And, I'm not very formulaic. Like I just do what feels right. Mm-hmm. And while for the most part, like we understand like how the main flow is, but then there's times when, you feel like your story is missing a little bit of something, or it's not quite like hitting right. And I think it's because we are missing some of these points that, and as this guy, Blake Snyder, was going through and explaining, I was kind of like, oh, and even though he was talking about it like in a movie thing, but as he was breaking down the movie and how like these certain plot points would hit, I was, comparing it to my own books and being like, oh, okay, I get what he's saying now. And so I'm really, really excited to start a new book and take what I learned from him and outline the whole thing before I even write, because he was basically saying, okay, for movies, but think about this with your books. He was basically saying that you have to come up with your log line first, which for us, that would be a tagline on your book.
Yeah.
Okay? And when do we come up with a tagline, Misty? When
at the end.
Right. And he's saying you need to do this the very first thing. And it needs to basically encompass what your book is about. Okay, so how in the world are you going to tell everybody what a blurb is hard enough, but now you want me to do it in one single sentence? And he was basically like, it has to hit this, it has to hit this. And he named like 4 points that are in the book, that things that your tagline should hit. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, then basically, that's basically the start of it. And then you can start outlining from there. And he was basically saying that, you have to outline this whole book or movie script in his case ahead of time, so that way you're, and you and me, we've kind of come to this more recently because we were mostly pantsers, but I feel like we're turning into a little bit of a plotter recently, you and I both, because like I can't seem to finish my book unless I sit there and write a little sentence about each chapter all the way to the end. And then I can go in and write them all. Does that make sense?
I don't especially like you have to stop midway and then just plot out the rest before you can finish.
Right. And so next time I'm going to try to do all this from the beginning and actually do it like he said, not like some of the ways I've learned on these other things, but like the way he did it. And he said he was talking about little note cards. You could tell the book was really dated when he wrote it. Like probably, I don't know, at least 10 years ago. I don't know. But the things that he was saying, I was like, okay, well, I could probably use Scrivener for that. Because don't they have like the little note card?
Yeah, there's a cork board. And on the cork board, you make up little note cards that kind of outline the whole book, and you can just all keep it there digitally instead of having
old school cards everywhere.
Right.
Right. And that's what I'm going to try to do for the next story that I write, just to try to plot it out and see if it does. So when I go to write my next book, not only am I going to follow this formula like a movie, but I'm also going to add in the universal fantasies that she told us about in her book, and I'm going to see if it makes a difference. And the other thing that Blake Snyder said was that whenever he would sell a movie script, because he had everything just so formulaic, like that's how the way the movies are, that he retains all of like the creative rights, and they don't change much on his story when it goes from script to movie. So think about how many people, like for instance, like BB Easton's books got turned into the Netflix series. And there's like the general premise, but they changed a lot of stuff because when she wrote her book, she wasn't writing it like a screenplay. Like that wasn't her intent. She was writing, and that's how most of our books are. But wouldn't it be interesting if you like wrote a book following that like thing, and then if it ever went to movie, like, and it basically just stayed the same? Like, how cool would that be?
Yeah, that would be really cool.
This is the kind of big dreams that these are the clouds.
That's why when you picked up the book, you chose the screenplay version and I chose the book version, which it does adjust in the book version for pantsers.
Okay.
So I was happy about that, because I am not to the point where you are, where you're going to sit there and plot out your book. I just can't do that. And I think probably it has something to do with the aphantasia part of it, where you can picture, what you want your book to look like and plot it out. I have to get in there. Like I have to poke around, see what comes up, see what happens. But then, after I get like the first, like I'm at that point right now with Riley's Biker where I could stop and plot the rest out, because now I know who everybody is, how they all connect to the story, and I can go from there. But I don't think I could. I tried to plot out, which book was it? I think it was Life's Serenity. I tried to plot that one out, and I wrote like a little bit for each chapter. And it went nothing like that. Like I got in there and started writing, and my brain was like, oh, whatever, I'm not going to listen to that, and went off on my own. So I think I'm going to have to just adjust it for the way my brain works.
I'm not saying that this is going to be successful for me, but it's something that I do want to try. I do want to give it a shot.
I think you'd be successful at it.
I'm going to try it and see what it does. And, because I've tried lots of things, and, we'll see. And I'm going to see if that makes any kind of difference. And if more people notice it or like it or pick it up or whatever in the end, then I'll think to myself, well, that worked. I'm going to do that again, and it's not necessarily saying that you're making all the books the same or whatever. Like that's not at all what they're saying. Cause I mean, there's
you just have to hit certain beats.
Right. Yeah.
At certain points in the book.
Right. And breaking it into like 3 acts, you know, and that makes sense. I mean, like this is the way it's done by professionals. So, I mean, who am I, to come out of the gate and try to reinvent the wheel? Like there's a way for doing things. So I don't know.
Did you notice that you just like instinctually knew a lot of that, but you didn't really like put it down into a specific thought? Because that's how I am with the book version. Like she'll say something and in my head, I'm like, I do that. And I realized that like that was important, but I never really connected why or, made a specific note about it,
Yeah. And
I thought that was interesting.
I was the same way. There was like a couple things I was like, oh yeah, I do that. I didn't realize that was what it was called or, but now that I'm more aware, and I also learned a little bit. Okay. So like whenever I was writing the Cinderella trilogy, the editors for Dangerous Press, they were like, this is great and this is wonderful, but the stakes need to be higher. The stakes need to be higher. And I was always like, huh, what? What are they saying? I don't understand this, because they like understood the formula of what makes a story sellable and exciting and all this. And so it was at that point that I was kind of like, maybe there's more to this than just write my little story willy-nilly. Like there are certain things that need to be hit that I'm just kind of missing, and so like sometimes, like you said, we accidentally hit them because we didn't realize we were doing them, but we're not always hitting them. So it would be great if we knew what we were doing and could make sure we hit them and make sure that we're putting out these nail biter books every time. So or whatever, page turning books. Because I feel like even low angst type stories are still going to follow all these little beats.
And that's also something that I've kind of picked up on, because I use that author's AI thing that Alessandra Torre is behind. So after I finish my manuscript, I send it through this artificial intelligence thing that breaks it all down, and I don't even know how, because I am not that smart, but somehow it knows like what the beats are and the peaks, and you have to, make sure it's going up and down like that. And so that's also something that I use. And then if I see like I'm flatlining somewhere, then I know I need to add something in that point.
Right. Yeah. And see,
I love all the statistics.
I do too. I love that stuff, but it's like, it's kind of hard to, it just takes learning. Like you have to read and learn. And I mean, that's what it is. Like, even if you're not reading craft books, when you're reading like really good books, you see all these things, so that's why, I love to read, because I learn things from other people about the style and the pacing and, the stakes and all the things, So I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad we're learning.
I know. I don't know what I'll read.
It takes so much time, that's the bad thing, is that like you just always feel like you have to go. And taking time. Whoa, I just threw my pen. Taking time to stop and read something that can improve your writing. You want to do that, but also like when, Well,
when. And that's why I like those audiobooks, because much to my children's horror, I've been listening to this in the car and on the way to school and on the way home from school. And both of them are like, are you serious? Like, my son was like, Mom, are we really going to listen to this the whole way? And I was like, yes, we are. We're learning about screenplays. Okay. And Avery's like, Mom, I don't like this. Can we turn this off? And I'm like, don't touch it.
Don't your kids just put on their headphones when they're in the car, or no?
No, because for a while there, I spoiled them and let them play all their anime theme songs to the point of driving me insane. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm done with you people, so now they're like, wait a second, expecting to listen to their anime songs. And now we're listening to how to
Craft
say
books.
Nope.
Yeah. Mabel will, talk to me or whatever when I'm in the car, but Lorelai just has her earbuds. I was trying to mix headphones and earbuds anyway. And she won't pay attention to me. She just is off doing her own little teenage angsty drama stuff.
Right. I want to. Okay, so I was talking to my friend Erin. Speaking of teenage angst, I was talking to my friend Erin, and she was like, what is a goal? Because first of all, let me tell you a story about Erin really quick, because I told you I wanted to tell this story on our podcast. But
yeah,
we were talking about this the other day, like on our last podcast, about how some people seem like they have it all together, and Erin is one of those people. She is just doing all the things all the time, 100%. And I'm just like, dang, girl, you go, girl. And she actually paused listening to our podcast to call me on the phone and tell me that she does not have it together. She does not know how I perceive this, but she is fraying and about to unravel. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, but I'm kind of glad that I'm not alone.
Does she know that you just ruined her reputation?
No, she was like, she wanted to make it very clear that she does not have it together. And so we met up for brunch last week, and I love talking to her because she is, you know how I'm like very like, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? Like motivate.
Yeah.
She's the same way. So you put us both together and we start like wondering how we're going to like take over the world,
Yeah.
over brunch. Anyway, so we were talking and she was like, okay, well, what's your goal for next year? And I was like, well, I really, really, really want to try to write like a YA book. Like I really want to. And, teen, like in that, whatever. And she's like, well, why don't you do it? And I'm like, well, because, and she's like, no, and she starts going on about goals. And she's like one of these people that like, she gets this board and writes all these like segments and then puts it into a format that's like, okay, now we can achieve these now. And so she's just one of those people that just knows how to do this. And she's like, we're going to help you get to this point. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Like, so you need to get this little board and we're going to sit down, we're going to brainstorm, and you're going to tell me all the things you want to do next year and we're going to make it happen. I'm like, okay. And so anyway, that's one of my goals for next year. Like my writing goals is obviously, you've heard me talk about it many times. Like I want to do this. I just haven't. And so, I mean, I don't know. I want to do it. Well, not under this pen name, obviously.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit confusing, but
I mean, I would do a variation of my name so that people know it's me. I just don't want to lump it in with all my romance stuff, just a visible line, like this is this over here.
And I think it's smart that you're not gonna like, hide it and make it something completely separate and secret, because
right.
I think that you have a lot of people that will read whatever it is you write, your grocery list, if you wrote it down. And so I think that will help, whoever reads it will talk about it. And then
I mean, and for me, like when I was a kid, like I loved to read when I was a teenager, like I was always reading, 9-10 years old, like whatever I could get my hands on. And then when I became like when I got into like the 6th grade, I transitioned from, like all the boxcar children stuff and the Babysitters Club to like R.L. Stine and like darker kind of stuff. And I just loved it so much. And it's just so like, those books were so important to me and they really shaped who I was and gave me like more of an understanding of like the world. And I really feel like I want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know there are kids that were just like I was back in the day, and I want to give them good stories.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about this, that, because I read YA a lot, and you're like, why?
But, yeah, exactly.
I read one book that I won't say the name of it, but it was good. It was interesting, but it didn't like hit me emotionally. Like it just was words, and it kind of fell flat for me. And it's a popular book that was out there, and like, you know, and a publisher and all this. And I thought to myself, and I'm not being like a snot, but I thought to myself, I could write a more emotionally impactful story and still fit it into YA guidelines or teen guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
And do better, you know, like
Yeah.
I felt like I just, and so then I came across another book that I read, and actually read it on audiobook, and it was another YA teen book, and it was so good, and it had all of that emotional stuff that I was craving, and I was like, yes, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling very motivated.
Good. Yeah, I have a hard time reading YA books. I don't know what it is. All of those, even like high school level book, you know, like where the bully books like that are really, really big right now with the high school age. Even some of those, I guess maybe it's because I have a high schooler, so I know what high schoolers, it's very vivid in my head right now, and I know they are nothing like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I like reading adult stuff.
I like it having a little bit of a variety. And I mean, obviously I have a high schooler too. And I don't, you know, I, like you said, it's easy for me. I can just shut it
off. Yeah.
And then I'm just focusing on the characters in the story. And, you know, I don't really think, I don't, you know, so many people were like, oh, I can't read a story if it has the same name as my kid. Like I can just,
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the same way with like YA. It's just like, oh, okay, let's read this story and see what it's all about. And a lot of times I like reading YA because it keeps me like up with the times, because I don't really know what the, you know, slang is, and, you know, like all this stuff. And so it's like interesting, the stuff that they worry about, and, you know, and that kind of stuff you have, you know, if you're going to write stuff, you can't just, you know, go back to 1999 senior Christy and try to write it, because it's not going to be the same.
It's not going to be the same. Yeah.
Nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of slang, because I don't know, I keep up with what's going on, and not that I'm like cool, because I am very, very far from cool. Ask my kids, but I at least like know the terms and the slang. And I tried to work that into Bexley Spiker. I said a few things that like I know are current slang, and my beta readers were like, you got to take that out. I have no idea what that means. Like, what do you, that makes no sense. And then I was like, okay, I guess I can't be cool.
Yeah. Well, probably if you would have done high school age, it probably would have been all right.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But, you know, since they're older adults, they were like, eh.
Yeah. I guess I just have to wait for it to get more popular before people say, I don't even remember what it was. I think it was like, I don't even remember. I wish I could. My memory is, you know, my memory.
Yeah.
Slug.
Yeah. You're like Dory.
I am.
Yeah. Dory. Just like forgets what she was talking about and she's on to something else.
Yeah, exactly. But you love me.
Yeah, I do.
And you know too, because you'll say something and you know I am never going to remember. And then you'll be like, I told you this last week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's funny because a lot of times I'll say, don't let me forget, I gotta do this. And you're like, don't tell me that. I'm not gonna remember this. But, you know, sometimes just saying, don't let me forget helps me not forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not necessarily that I need you to physically remind me, but it's just, I don't know.
Which is good because I won't.
Right. You never do.
I won't until you're like, oh, hey, I did this today. And I was like, oh, I was supposed to remind you to do that.
Yeah. Right. And then meanwhile, I've got my sister who, if I tell her, don't let me forget to do this tomorrow at 9:00 the next day, she's all like, now, Christy, don't forget you. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that right now. And she's like, you have to. And I'm like, why did I tell you to remind me to do this? Because I don't want to do this now. She's over there forcing me to.
Yeah. So the things that you don't really want to remember to do, you got to tell me. And then the things that you really have to remember to do, you tell her.
Exactly.
So speaking of teenagers, you have a new driver.
I do. And speaking of Holly, she's the one that made that happen because I was just too goofy to make this happen because they were like, oh, you have to get online to the DMV and make an appointment and all this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I'd get on there and they'd all be filled up. And I was like, you know what? I give up. I can't do this. And finally one day Holly was like, are you ever going to get his learner's permit? And I was like, I don't know. It's just really hard. And then she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take over. Can I take over? I said, you go.
Please do.
And she starts like researching, and then she finds like that one of the colleges in town will do the learner's permit test. So then she downloads all these tests for him to practice, and she forces him to practice. And then it comes time, and I'm like on a deadline, and I was writing on Wednesday, and she's like, okay, it's the appointment day. And she's like, thank you, because the whole thing was giving me anxiety. And so
we're having technical
him up there
difficulties.
And uh-oh. Is it me? Is it you?
I don't know.
Am I there yet?
It's always hard. Yeah, you're good now. Well, okay. No, it still is like a little choppy for some reason. I don't know why.
Weird. I wonder why.
Weird. And then for like 5 seconds, your mouth wasn't matching your voice.
Oh God.
So I was like, okay, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. And then it did get better.
Oh my God. Well,
so Holly, no, you're good now.
Okay. So yeah, Holly took him and, got him all signed up, and he took his test and he got his learner's permit, and then she brought him home and took him driving around the neighborhood. And then my husband took him driving around the neighborhood the next day. And then I took him driving around the neighborhood the next day. And so he's been getting practice, and I feel like pretty soon he'll be on his own.
Are you okay taking him out? Like, do you panic?
I want him to be able to learn, but at the same time, it does make me very
yeah,
because he's like about to curb check, and I'm like, do not curb check in the car. Oh, like, stop it. He likes driving in Matt's truck because he was like up high and he could see everything. And then he rode in Holly's car too, and hers was, so I don't know I think he likes the truck the best, but that one's the biggest, and riding around the neighborhood in cars seems like a really bad idea.
Yeah. Lorelai's going to be getting her learner's permit. I'm going to sign her up for driver's ed after Christmas. And I just can't wait until she's driving.
Yeah. Well, don't be surprised if she isn't eager to drive, because
she's not. I have to force her.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is this? Because when I was growing up, like, we were like chomping at the bit to get out there and ride and drive and be independent. And they're like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So absolutely. We even have a car to give her. Like, how is she not excited about this?
Yeah, you think that they'd be like totally
confusing to me. Yeah.
But they're not.
But yeah, for whatever reason, she isn't. So,
well, like Matthew says, well, where am I going to go? And I'm like, I don't know.
I'm gonna force Lorelai to get a job too. I'm like, you're getting a job, you're getting a car, you're getting out of here.
Yeah, maybe he'll like go. Well, one of his friends works at the gym, and he's like, he's invited me a couple times. I'm like, okay. And he doesn't work at just like any regular little gym. He works at like the nicest gym in the Tulsa area. Okay, so Matthew says maybe I could get a membership there, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe if you want to. And I said, well, how much is it a month? He looks me dead ass in the eye and says $500. I said, what?
Excuse me?
I didn't even bat an eyelash. And I was like, no. And he was like, what? And I was like, we need what? I said, can you be his guest for a little bit? And he was like, well, yeah, I think I can be his guest. I said, why don't you be his guest and see if you even like it? I said, and then we need to look at the packages because we ain't getting the $500 package. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. What kind of gym is $500 a month?
Right. It must be like the top tier where you can like swim and do like all the racquetball and childcare. And, it must be like, and it's a real fancy one with like, I mean, it's super fancy, but it's like, I don't mind you having a gym membership if you're really going to do it. But I know my kids, they will show interest in something for like 4 seconds. And then next thing you know, I'm committed to paying for them and they're done with it and they don't want to do it anymore.
Who does that remind you of?
I don't know.
I wonder where they get that from. That's so strange.
I saw a meme the other day and I sent it to Matt and it was like, someone had said like, oh, I love when I find a new hobby and I'm so excited and I buy all the tools for it and I learn all I can about it. And then I tinker on the hobby for like 2 days. And then I decide I need a new hobby. And then I just abandoned that hobby. And I was like, oh, I feel seen.
Oh, that's so funny. That is so you.
It's just and I think I might have some form of adult ADD. I don't
ADHD.
know. Yeah, because it's like
I've told you that before. I think you have ADHD.
Yeah, and then it's like because I want to do this and I want to do this, and then, I'm overwhelmed by all the things I want to do all the time, all at once.
Yeah, and then when you get to that like massively overwhelmed spot, you just have to like sit down and like everything has to stop around you because you have to decompress.
Yes. And I'm like, why do I do this to myself? It's just so I don't know. It's hard being me.
It is hard being you. But I've got you figured out, so works okay for me.
You
do. So what can you say what you're working on? Kind of halfway?
Kind of. I'm working on a book for Dangerous Press that I'm halfway done with. And I am working on another book. And I also finished my little novella for the anthology. Basically, I'm just trying to wrap up these last 2 little projects I'm working on for the end of the year. And I'm going to try to take December off as much as I possibly can, and just write the things that I want to write for kind of fun, but like I don't have anything hard in stone after these 2 projects that I finish in the next couple weeks. And I'm happy because I need a reset, and I just feel like it's been so stressful last couple of months that I don't know.
And your grandma and your grandpa are going to be there, and
I like to enjoy them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nice that you get to take December off and just
and
reset yourself.
And normally I have like editing deadlines and project deadlines and all this stuff. I don't have anything. Like I've slowly been just moving it off my plate and finishing things up and just being done with all that because I need to start this year just without just overwhelming pressure because I think it's like trying to make me burn out and I need to like find my creativity again and my love for doing this and not just try to churn, and I'm done churning. Like I want to find projects that are fun for me and that I can really devote a lot of energy and time into and not just hurry up and be done, hurry up and be done, hurry up and be done. And because that just takes the fun out of it and you're not celebrating any of the stuff along the way. So, and I'm too old to be doing this. Like it was fun for a while there, but I can't do it anymore. I have to slow down and rethink how I'm gonna do stuff. So anyway.
Yeah. I had that like the first 2 years that like go, I've got to get this done. And it was fun. Like I enjoyed that like adrenaline boost of, finishing up projects. But at this point, I mean, it didn't take me as long as it took you to get to the point where you're like, I need to be smarter about this and plan things out a little bit better. I actually, I'm such an idiot sometimes because I will sign up for something and I won't write it down.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, oh, I'll remember. But again, I'm Dory, so I don't remember.
Right.
And then like last week, I signed up for like a I don't know what you call it. What do you call it when like a bunch of authors write a book but in the same world? A collection?
Call it a collection, yeah.
I signed up for a collection that I completely forgot about until they were like, "Hey, we need your cover for this." And I'm like, "Huh? What?" What did I agree to?
Right. Yes. That's the kind of crap that happens to me too.
Yeah. I need to figure out a way to write things down when I agree to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I need it to be somewhere that I will actually check. Because I write things down on my phone and I don't check it. Terrible at life. Terrible at life.
Well,
Someone on one of my TikToks, because I post these pack and order with me videos, people keep commenting on it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how organized you are. And I just let them think that. Like, I do not argue with them at all.
mm-hmm.
But it's all a lie. I am so unorganized, mm-hmm. and I need to be better at that. And we did this last year, you and I, mm-hmm. where you ordered us planners. We were going to be smart. We were going to write everything down. How long did that last? Because I don't even think we got through like the first week of January.
No, I made it to January 3rd, and then I just threw my planner on a shelf and I said, I don't want to look at you no more because you are judging me.
Yeah.
I am I want to be a planner girl so bad, but I'm not, no matter how hard I try.
Yeah.
And those planners were perfect. Like anybody that
they for writers.
Right. And so
and low.
Mm-hmm. And then they also have like the blogger ones and mm-hmm. like all these different ones.
Reader ones.
Yes. They might even have editor ones and stuff like that, but they're like really, really like detailed and customized for our, segment of work. And it's fantastic. And I wanted so badly to fill that little book out, but I am a loser.
Yeah. I'm a loser too.
Give up. Oh, we really had high hopes.
Yeah. So I need to figure that out. I need to figure out how I can force myself to look at some kind of calendar. Like even right in front of me right now, I have 2 calendar months, like mm-hmm. 2 framed calendar months that I'm supposed to write stuff down on so that I can see current month, next month. They're blank. They are blank. And they have been blank since the very first month I had them, got everything all nice and organized. They've been blank ever since.
Oh my gosh.
I just suck at calendars.
I know. It's really hard. Like, I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever get better at that, but maybe we'll get better at all the other stuff. Because I feel like we're already turning over a new leaf and doing a little better because we've slowed down. And we're trying to make better decisions for our business and, all this. And like this year for me has been a major learning year for like, not just writing, but like the whole business side of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it is working because I'm not doing ads anymore. So I'm still making my same amount of income without ads. And I'm not putting out a book or 2 every single month, and I'm still making the same amount of income. So obviously whatever I'm doing is working, but it's just a major transitional thing, and it's hard to go from making that new release money, like boom, 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 every single month. And then just suddenly just pull it out and be like, now you got to try to make all that money from old books, mm-hmm. and so we're doing it. We're making changes and being smarter, but at the same time, we still suck at other stuff. So
maybe next. Okay. So 2020 was a pretty good year for me. Mm-hmm. I feel like I did really well that year. 2021 was a dumpster fire beyond epic proportions. So I am looking forward to the new year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and do things right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah.
And everybody listening is probably like feeling motivated too. And they're like going, yeah, I want to do that too. And that was the other thing I was going to talk about. Remember I said I was going to talk about this and I completely forgot. But I feel like we all are just, we don't really know what we're doing. And we look at all of our peers and they all seem like they really know what they're doing. And we're over here not knowing how to do anything. And we think, oh my gosh, we suck. But then somebody will, like you said, come to you and be like, wow, you're so organized. Oh my gosh. And you're like, what? And somebody will come to me and be like, wow, you're doing so great. And I'm like, what? Like we don't see it on ourselves. So it's very easy to look around all your peers and just see what they're showing you, which obviously not everybody's going to show all their mistakes and chaos, and they're showing you like, hey, this is what I did good, and you're like, yeah, that's what you're seeing, and everybody's showing you all that they did good, but they're not showing you like behind the scenes, like the kids are going crazy and they're it's just whatever, like they can't write, or their job is a mess, or they're struggling with their health, or like whatever. You don't see all that. And so when it comes down to it, there's like even like the big authors that you think, oh, they got it all together. You start talking to them and they're like, yeah, like, I don't know how to do TikTok, or I don't understand this, or like that they have their own areas of insecurity that they don't even know how to do. And they're watching you, and you don't realize how many people are watching you. And it's kind of like unnerving a little bit, because they think that you got it all together and you don't got it together at all, but they think you do, so anyway, that's my little rant.
I think social media especially is just such a lie. And but also I'm not about to go and tell anybody that I'm not organized.
Right.
when they think I am.
Right. Well, and then
it makes me feel better about myself.
Right. Well, and then I think with like Instagram, it's just a snapshot of something. And so you get to make it all pretty and take 100,000 pictures and get it right and say the right caption, all this. Well, TikTok is a little less forgiving, and I feel like that's why it's so well, because people are seeing like the real side of people when they don't have their makeup all the way on, or they're crying or whatever. They're showing other sides of them that's not perfection. And I think that's why TikTok is doing so well. And I think that anybody that's trying to get over there on TikTok, or they don't know what to do, I think that if they just show a little bit about themselves and their personality and their vulnerabilities and their weaknesses and their things that they can toot their little horns about, that's what people want to see. Like they want to see the ups and downs and all of it. They don't want to just see the perfect side of you,
right. And also I feel like, I don't know, you're exactly right. Like with Instagram, I feel like I need to keep things like completely professional and very aesthetic and all of this. But then I get on TikTok and I'm just like me, and it's just more comfortable. And I have made real friends on TikTok, and right now I feel like that's the most important marketing tool that I have in my pocket. So yeah, I really like it over there.
Well, and for me, I don't know if this is how it is for you, but I see like quantifiable results from TikTok.
Oh
like,
yeah, 100%.
I can tell whatever I've done or whatever somebody else has done that is attached to me. I can see the sales go up.
Yep.
And so to me, it's like, okay, there are people over there just waiting to buy books, and I need to be over there and showing my stuff more. And because it's amazing how, 1 minute your book's 5 years old and the next minute, like it's blowing up because someone said something about it and they've got like 400,000 views on their post and they're all trying to buy your book, So it could just basically happen to anyone. It's not like Facebook where it's, everybody's, the people that are putting the ads in front of everybody are the ones that are getting all the showtime. It's like TikTok, they really do just like kind of like filter people and let everybody have a chance in the limelight, you know?
Yeah.
So I just feel like your odds are better.
Yeah. And I don't like how, I don't know. I enjoy having people see glimpses into my life and being entertained by, you know, whatever insane thing that I did that day. I enjoy that. It's fun for me over there. And so it makes me want to do it more. But also the more I do it, the more I see the results, you know, with my book sales. I think it's just such an important marketing tool for any author, especially because it's free.
Right.
Especially for like new indie authors just starting out that are just astounded by the amount of money that it costs to produce a book. And then, you know, you have people telling you have to spend $400 a month on ads or whatever. And this is something that they can do even before their book releases,
right,
to gain a following. And
because people just want to get to know, they want, you know, they just want to get to know you, you know, and so you're showing them that. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm very private. And I mean, it's okay to still be private and still show glimpses of you as a person. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be your face. It could be something that represents you, and do a voiceover or do anything, like just do something where you're showcasing your personality in some way that makes you different and sets you apart, because everybody's different. And that's what people want. They don't want 100 TikToks of everybody being the same. Like they like the different types of people. And so, you know, I feel like there are ways to do it, even if you're not you want to get in front of the camera kind of person, you know, because not everybody wants to do that, but that's still okay. There are ways to still show who you are, you know? So I would say that they should spend some time scrolling through TikTok in the categories that interest them, like books, book talk, that sort of thing, and see what other people are doing, and just kind of get a vibe for it, and start thinking about themselves like, how could I do this for me? Like what are things about me that I, you know, like, oh, I love coffee. Okay, maybe I do, like, you know, stuff talking about coffee, and then, you know, books that I like or whatever, you know, like just start thinking about what you can do. And it'll take a little bit of effort, but like you said, it's free, so might as well work it. And we know for a fact that it makes money,
right?
You know, and anytime someone goes, you know, on a talk about one of our books and it picks up some momentum, we see our sales just, so why not give it a try?
Yep.
Out of all the social media platforms, that's the one I feel like you should be focusing on right now.
Absolutely. I think it's easier to reach people than it is on Instagram or Facebook. And book covers, you know, grab attention. Of course they do. But when you're on Facebook and you're scrolling and it's just book cover, book cover, book cover, book cover, it gets to be repetitive and people just tune it out.
Right.
But on TikTok, they're getting a piece of you, and they're seeing something unique about your book, or seeing something unique about you that they connect with. It's just so much easier. It's easier to grab an audience.
Yeah. And like you said, you're making relationships with people, you're getting to know people, and you start recognizing the same people that'll comment, and you know, these are your people, you know. And so, and a lot of people, they've, you know, had like negative, you know, problems or whatever, but I've never had really anything negative on TikTok. You know, like that, you've got your few random people that'll say stuff, but for the most part, it's like all book people that, I mean, I know you've had, when you've gotten with on your horse stuff into the wrong category.
Talk about it. I'm still, to this day, I get at least 3-4 comments a day on that video.
On a post, yeah.
And it's like 4 months later. I mean,
yeah. So,
sorry,
you know, but I haven't had like anything crazy like that. So, and that's kind of not typical what happened to you. That was kind of like
random. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally random. But it ended up being a good thing because I did come across a bunch of readers from it. So yeah. Just won't ever do it again. I save all my horse videos for Instagram now in my stories.
Yeah. So they disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody can steal them from me. Hey, it's that time where we talk about what we're reading, and you kind of teased earlier with what you were reading, talking about daddy and all of that. So now's your chance to say what book it is.
Okay, so I read Stubborn Boys, which was the third book in K.M. Newhold's Pretty Boy series, I think is what they are. Anyway, I don't remember the name of the series, but the first book I think is called Pretty Boy, and then I don't know, they're over there. I can't, I'd forget their names. But anyway, the third book is called Stubborn Boys, and it came out recently, like the other day. Like I tried to buy it twice and I'd already bought it. And I was like, what? It's already on my Kindle? Just like,
I do that all the time.
Like, what? And so I must have pre-ordered it because I was so excited. Anyway, so I read that book and it is MMM. And it's obviously
I didn't know it was MMM.
Yes, it's a daddy and his two boys.
Oh, that makes it even better.
And Misty's dad, cover your ears.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really sweet and romantic and steamy, very, very steamy. And we got glimpses of the other characters in that little world. And I absolutely loved the first book. I listened to it on audiobook, remember? And I think, was it Tim Page and Liam DeCosmo? Were they the two that did that book?
I think so.
Well, anyway, they did a great job and I loved it. And anyway, so that was the third book in the series, and it was just low angst and all that. And I finished that one last night. That was the book that me and my husband were arguing about. It's like we are in the middle of a triple sword fight here. Do not interrupt me, sir.
A triple sword fight. That's great.
Step away from the Kindle.
You're right. Tim Page and Liam DeCosmo.
And I didn't realize they were friends in real life.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, I saw on Tim Page's page that he had a picture of him and Liam when they were like at prom or something, or one of their weddings or something. I don't know. It was a long time ago, and they didn't even look like themselves. And I was just like, oh, that's so sweet. And he was like, look, this was us back then or something. I don't remember what it said, but it was really cute. So, and that makes sense to why they do a lot of projects together, because if they're,
if they're friends. But don't you think that would make it a little awkward, or no?
No, I mean, they are, I think that they're, it's no different than me and you talking about steamy scenes. We talk about it,
we're not like you get in character.
Yeah, but they're not
you become.
It's not like they get like this and you read a line and I read a line.
Maybe
and then
they do. Like, are they in the same room, like looking at each other while they?
I think they just record their chapters and he records their chapters and then they splice them together. Like, I don't think it's that like intimate. I'll have to ask them what's going on.
I'm gonna choose to believe that they're like in the same room looking in each other's eyes while they do.
Oh, see, now we got to get them on the show and ask them.
I know, we do.
That's hilarious. So yeah, that book was really good. And then the other one, the one that I was talking about last week that I got the paperback because I listened to it on audiobook, but I wanted to show you because it looks like this. Oops. You're My Home.
Oh yeah.
By Katie
That's
Moore.
your obsession book.
Yes, it was I loved this book so much. Anyway, I also made her my friend. So, and then
you found her on Facebook?
I did. And
I couldn't find her.
Well, I found her page and then her group, and then I emailed her because I was a stalker. So I emailed her and I was like, oh my God, I love you. And then she replied back, is this real life? Because she reads my books too. And I was like, oh,
yeah. That's awesome.
I know that happens a lot. And it makes me just like, I don't think about other people reading my books. I just am in like fangirl mode.
Fangirl mode, yeah.
Right. So the other book that I read, sorry, I have a little list here. I told you I read a lot.
You were prepared.
I was. Okay, this one is called Dark Rain by Amelia Wilde. Okay, so it's in the dangerous press world, and it
right.
follows one of the Morellis, the girl, and then the guy is this like obsessive art stalker dude, and it's very dark and juicy and just, like so good and so vivid and so just, I feel like someone who doesn't visualize, you could totally visualize this book because she did such a good job of writing the whole thing. And I loved it because, well, first of all, that was the first book that I've read by her, and I was just blown away. Like, it was so good. And anyway, I devoured that book in like one sitting. I just like gobbled it up. And I think you would love it because it ticks off all your little things that you love.
Yeah.
And I really do think you'd love it. So, and it was kind of funny because I was reading and then, hearing about the Constantines on the other side. And I was like, oh, they don't like the Constantines, because,
I have enjoyed that part of this whole dangerous press thing is getting both sides, because you read the Constantine books and you're like, oh, those fucking Morellis. Right? And then you read the other ones and you're like, oh, I hate those Constantines. And like,
right.
It's really interesting. I really like it.
It really is fun. And what's funny is, I've been having to write opposite, and I just had a scene with Winston, and he was a little brat. And I was like, why is he being like that? I'm writing it because I'm on the opposite end of it this time. Like, right. He's the villain in this story, like, or a villain. And I was just like, why is he such an evil twat? Like, and so it's just like fun to like see both sides. But anyway, that's how it was with Dark Rain, and I absolutely love that book. And it starts maybe a trilogy, I think. And it just, it was just so juicy and thrilling, and I'm really looking forward to reading more. So, but for my final book, sorry, this whole segment is mine. Okay. Okay. So this is the book that I also alluded to that was a teen YA kind of book, but it's called The Infinite Noise by Lauren Shippen. And it's MM. I guess it's got like a small like romantic side thread in it, but it's more about two boys going through totally different things. But anyway, this is the one I was telling you about, that the football player guy is an empath, and like he's almost got like superpowers, and he can just feel everybody's feelings, and it just almost makes him crazy because he just can't handle it. It's too much. And they take him to this doctor, Dr. Bright, and she helps him like organize his thoughts and everything. Well, one of the people, Adam, I think is the name of the boy, he's depressed, so his thoughts are like bigger and deeper, and so the other boy's very like concerned about him and drawn to him, and because he feels him so, so it's just such a good story, and it was just had all these emotions, and it was so deep, and I loved it. And of course they start to fall in love, so it's just so good. I loved it. And I listened to the audiobook's really good. They cast the two people really well, and like you could just like feel their pain, and the voice, and Caleb's voice is just like, he just was so like, he hurt so bad for all these people, and I don't know, it was so good. And then I bought the hardback because I loved it that much and I needed to have it on my shelf. So
yeah, it's a pretty book.
I think it turned out it's a beautiful book. And so anyway, this is the one I was saying that inspired me. Like, I can write a teen book, I can do this. Yeah. This is going on my goal list for next year. I'm going to do this, and you and Aaron are going to cheer me on.
Yes, I will. And I'll even read it. And I know I'll love it.
Oh,
do you think you're gonna go MM or Don't know
I think
yet?
so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think so. Because I absolutely love writing MM. It's my favorite. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I get more emotional in those books. Like I don't know why. It's just something I like to write. So
yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it.
So I read a Big Fat Zero books since we last spoke, like physically reading Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
But I listened to, I don't know, a million books.
Oh, good. Which is still reading.
Yeah. So I think last time I mentioned I listened to Ruthless Creatures by J.T. Geisinger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I listened to the next one, Carnal Urges. And then I listened to White Nights by Anna Zares and Charmaine Pauls, and that one was really good. And then did you read Long Way Home by Nikki James?
Yes.
So I'm doing the audio of that one. I'm about halfway through. It's really good. She has, I need to scoop up her narrator, because what's his name? Adam Gold, I think is his name. He's so good. So good.
Really? I don't think I've ever listened to him. I'll have to check it out.
She uses him exclusively, and I totally get it because he's so good. And then I did a re-listen of Night by Kristen Ashley, because that is like my comfort book.
Mm-hmm.
Night is just my ultimate book boyfriend. And so my friend was listening to that book because I forced it on her. I bought it and sent it to her so that she would listen to it. And then I really re-listened to it. But the most exciting thing is that I am listening to, I think it's paranormal, not fantasy, 7 Sins of Snow by Loxley Savage.
Mm-hmm.
I showed you the cover, right? It's
like it's pretty
beautiful woman with like blood all over her face. And I'm only a couple hours into it. So it's kind of like a Cinderella retelling, I guess. And yeah, it's really, really good.
Snow White? It's not Snow White?
Is it? Oh yeah, Snow White. What am I thinking? Yeah, Snow White. But did you ever watch Snow White when you were a kid? I never watched it.
You didn't?
Like the movie?
Yeah.
The Disney movie? I never watched it.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs?
Yeah. So I don't know the story too well, but there are like seven I forget what she calls them in there, but I think they're vampires.
Ooh.
And then she has like her wicked stepmother that just, I mean, we write some pretty crazy things in our books. The things this stepmom does to her are out of this world. So
really,
it's really, really dark.
Oh,
and it's
I need to listen to it, I think.
Really, really good. And the narrators
and send it to me.
Yeah, the narrators are just amazing. I'm loving it.
Cool.
And it's not like so deep into the paranormal stuff that I can't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just perfect for me. I love it.
Cool.
It's a good one. So I'm bouncing back and forth between Save the Cat and that. Mm-hmm. It's hard to choose which one because I'm always going to choose the fiction, but I know I need to choose
the
Save the Cat one.
Well, and I got oh no, I didn't want to interrupt you, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just going to say, do you have the PDFs that go with it? So I have like the physical book and I haven't even looked through it, but with the audio, it comes with like PDFs.
I didn't notice
that you can bring up. So you can follow along with whatever is going on with the book. And I haven't ever had an audiobook like that where it has like attachments to it.
Wow, that's interesting.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, I did look up what they were talking about on my phone so I could listen and see, but I didn't look to see if it came as part of the audiobook. That's kind of crazy. But I did tell myself I'm also going to buy the physical copy of this because I need to go dog ear it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I might actually switch to the physical book that's sitting right there in my pile in my little TBR cart. It has all of my craft books in it.
You know, my little cart right here, this little empty cart is my Dancing with Cats. It says, this is the blurb. 9 lives, 4 paws, and all the right moves.
Oh, that book is strange.
It's fantastic. Like, it is the best book. All it is just people dancing with their cats. I mean, it is amazing. And these cats are freaking cute.
If you're listening and you're not on YouTube, there's just literally pictures of people dancing with their cats. Their cats are on their hind legs. It's wackadoo.
Oh,
really.
This lady, this is perfect for this week. She's got her little feathers. Looking like a little turkey.
She does look like a little turkey. And that cat's just dancing right along with her.
Yes, she says that she adopts the form of a bird sometimes. And the cat treats her like a bird. He leaps about and showers her with attention, when in reality, he only wants one thing: to dominate, consume, and move on. I don't know what that means,
book ever. Strangest book ever.
But I do love it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Okay. Our time is up.
We said all
I actually even think we went over.
Oh gosh, we're gonna be in trouble.
I know. Our producer's gonna be pissed.
I know. Oops.
Oh well.
We stay in trouble with him.
We will be back in 2 weeks with another episode. If you have not liked, followed, whatever it is on whatever platform you are on, subscribed, please do so. Leave us comments, tell us what you like, what you don't like, what do you want to see more of. Right, let us know.
And if you do watch our video, exactly, and if you do watch our video on YouTube, pop in a comment and be like, you guys were the best podcast I've ever watched in my whole life, and we'll be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Tell Christy how pretty her lipstick looks.
Yes. See, I'm over here fishing for compliments. Y'all go deliver.
All right. That is it for us. I hope you all have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. And we will see you later. Bye.